Hey guys, Christoph the Polish Geek here and welcome to Top 10 Best Movies of 2022. 2022 was a really great year for movies. We've got so many good movies and my top 2 are better than the movies of last few years actually. They're better than anything of the last few years, literally my top 2. And in general, this was a really good year for movies. Just as I did in my top 10 worst list, this is top 10 best list. So, let's get to it! Number 10. The Bad Guys. This is very good movie from DreamWorks. It's not one of their best, but very far from their worst. I would say it's one of the better ones. It's certainly nowhere near as close as The Prince of Egypt or How to Train Your Dragon trilogy or even Kung Fu Panda, but it was still a very good movie. I love the animation style of the movie, I love the characters like Wolf, Snake, the Shark. I love all the characters of it. I love the tone of the movie and how they pay homage to the old gangster movies. And I also love the message of the movie that if someone truly is your friend, they will just accept you for who you are. I love that message. Especially that's something I also strongly believe in. The Bad Guys was a very good movie. And I really had a good time watching it. And it's also the first animated movie on this list. Coming in number 9, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was a blast through and through. I really liked the first Sonic the Hedgehog movie, but I feel the second one was much better. It took everything that was great about the first one and improved on it so much. I love, it introduced even more characters from the games, like Tails, Knuckles, and Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik is just great, and it was also very funny, and it had so much heart and humor. The first movie basically lifted the curse that video game movies suck, but this one very much doubled down on it and further proved my point. So I'm really excited for the third Sonic movie and really into this live-action Sonic universe now. I really like the games, and now I'm glad how much this live-action universe honors the games. Number 8, and I'm kind of surprised I actually say it, but it's Avatar: The Way of Water. I was not a huge fan of the first Avatar movie, but this one I felt was a huge improvement over the original. It might be my bias and passion for oceans, admittedly, but still. I love all the ocean visuals in this movie, and I love all the new creatures, and I still think the world of Pandora is great world building. And also I like how they made characters more likable, much more than they were in the first movie. And it was simply a very good movie, much better than the first one. And I'm going to repeat it again. The ocean visuals were magnificent. Number 7, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. This is another very huge surprise. As I said, I was totally not interested in this movie at all. I didn't expect the movie to be any good, especially that I was never a huge fan. Well, maybe I was as a kid, but that was a long time ago. But I'm not a huge fan of Shrek franchise, and I did not like the first Puss in Boots movie. But after I heard all the positive this movie was getting, I got really curious, and this movie, as I already said in my review, really was as good as everyone says. I love the story of the movie, the animation, and I also love the characters and the arc that Puss in Boots goes on. This movie was a really nice surprise and a very great movie, and certainly one of the best animated movies of the year, actually. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish was a very good animated movie, and better than any of the Shrek movies, and it's certainly the top 10 best DreamWorks movies for me now, actually. Number 6, and that's the movie that really grew on me with time, and that's The Batman. I'm very much a huge fan of The Batman, and I was really excited for this movie, and when I watched it, I thought it was good, but not great. But with time, I'm liking it more and more. It's still nowhere near as fantastic as the Dark Knight trilogy for me, but still it's a very good Batman movie. Like, I love the dark tone of the movie, I love the Gotham City in the movie. It's probably the best Gotham City ever portrayed in any Batman adaptation. And I also love the fight scenes in this movie, even though there are not many of them. And also, I loved how it focused more on the detective part of the Batman. Like, this was a very good Batman movie, and it kind of had the tone of Batman the Animated Series, and honestly, I like it more with each time I watch it. Number 5. RRR. Yes, this is an Indian movie actually, that at first I heard a lot about, and it's the only movie I haven't reviewed yet on this channel actually. I've heard a lot about this movie, but there was no access for me to watch it, but it recently came out here in Poland on Netflix, and I finally watched it, and it was a very good movie. Like, I love the story of this movie, all the characters in it, and I loved how the visuals in this movie and the action was just magnificent. It was very over the top, but it worked perfectly. And it's basically like a period piece, like about India. I love period pieces and historical movies in general. And this was a really good movie. And the performances here were great too. So RRR at number 5. At number 4, and that's the movie I know a lot of people would put on their as their number 1 movie, but for me it's number 4, and that's Top Gun Maverick. Like, I was really impressed with this movie when I watched it, and I like it more and more with each time I'm watching it. Like, I love all the plane fight scenes, they're just amazing, and when you find out that these are all practical effects and people really had to learn to fly planes for this movie, it makes it all the better. And I also love all the characters in this movie, and I love the references to the first Top Gun, which I watched after I watched this movie actually. And the characters were likable. Like, Top Gun Maverick is literally one of the best action movies of the last few years, and I'm not surprised it's so loved, because it was a very great movie. Number 3, and that movie was such a huge surprise for me, because I didn't expect to love it as much as I did, and it's Violent Night. Violent Night has a premise that would sound very absurd on the first glance, like terrorists kidnap a rich family and Santa Claus goes on to help the family and fight the terrorists. On first glance, the plot sounds very absurd, but it was so well executed, it just worked perfectly. Like, and this is definitely one of the best modern Christmas movies I ever seen, and this movie very much shines with Christmas spirit through and through. And I loved everything in this movie. Like, I love Santa Claus, I love the characters, I loved the fight scenes, and I love the gore in this movie too. And I love the character development that the rich family went through. Like, I started really disliking them at the beginning of the movie, but at the end, I grew to like them all actually. This is character development at its finest. And as I said, this story would sound absurd to many people, but as I already said, it was when you show love and passion to what you're doing, then you can come up with a really well executed, amazing story, even if it doesn't make sense when you just hear it. And Violent Night is a very perfect example of that. And I also loved all the references to many different Christmas movies over the years, like Die Hard, Home Alone, and many others. Like, yes, Violent Night was an amazing movie and certainly one of the best modern Christmas movies I ever seen. And the next 2 movies are almost tied up, like they're almost interchangeable, because those 2 movies now that I'm going to talk about are literally possibly now some of my favorite movies of all time. Like, I literally love those 2 movies, and they're better than many more than almost anything recent from the recent years. That's how incredible those 2 movies now that I'm going to talk about are. And they're almost tied up for number 1 spot. Like, I really wonder which one of those should be at number 1, but oh well. At number 2, The Northmen. Yeah, I love The Northmen. I love Vikings, I love their history, learning about them. And The Northmen was just so amazing. The visuals and landscapes in this movie were just beautiful and gorgeous. The characters were great, the story was so well executed, and I also love the historical accuracy about the Vikings in this movie too. Like, literally everything about the Northmen is just magnificent. I just love the Northmen so much, and it's literally one of the best historical movies I've ever seen, and it deserves to be honored among the likes of Gladiator, Kingdom of Heaven, Braveheart. Yes, it totally deserves to be honored among those incredible classics. I wouldn't quite say it's better than them, but it definitely deserves its place of honor among all those. Love the Northmen. But my number one best movie of 2022 is Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Yeah, just like on my worst movies list, we have Disney's live-action Pinocchio. On my best, we have the another Pinocchio movie, and that's the Guillermo del Toro Pinocchio. Like, I was actually pretty looking forward to this movie, but I didn't expect it to be as fantastic as it was. Like, this is by far the best Guillermo del Toro movie ever, in my personal opinion. Better even than Pan's Labyrinth. And it's definitely one of the best animated movies of the many years, actually. It's certainly my top 5 favorite animated movies now. Like, and sometimes I'm debating if this is better or the Disney animated Pinocchio better. Because the Disney classic holds a very special place in my heart. It has always been my favorite animated movie ever. But this movie, I'm not going to go as far as say it's better, but it definitely competes with it because that's how fantastic and incredible it was. Like, the animation in this movie is fantastic, the characters are great, and I also love the story of this movie and how it was moved to fascist Italy. And I love how fascistic Italy was very much incorporated in the story. It wasn't just as a background, it was very much incorporated into the story. And the movie is very sad too, actually, and many people actually teared, including me a little bit, in this movie, because it is very sad too. But this movie has everything I want in a good movie. Great story, great characters, and lots of heart, full of emotion, and so much passion put into it. Like, this is literally now one of my favorite animated movies ever, and literally my favorite movie of 2022. And so far, my favorite movie of 2020's decade, though we still have 7 more years. Okay guys, thank you for watching my top 10 favorite movies of 2022. What are your favorite movies of 2022? Comment below, let me know, press the like button, please subscribe to this channel, and I'll talk to you soon in another video. Talk to you soon, bye!